Wonderful to be with you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux and Peter Clayton is here. He's behind the camera. You're well?
I'm very well, thank you, Jeremy.
It's a beautiful day. We're recording our Tuesday and Wednesday shows on Facebook, and Andy Martin will podcast them around the place. And we're doing that on Monday afternoon. Monday, it's just a beautiful day today. Fantastic, lovely time of the year. Absolutely beautiful and green, not too hot, not too cold. Goldilocks weather, I call it. All is good in this garden, but I'm not sure about telecommunications. As of yesterday, I'm talking about Monday, the 3G network will be progressively switched off, along with a lot of the things that we've been taking for granted. These 3G phones are hooked up to all sorts of gadgets. Fall alarms. I don't think I'd ever heard of a fall alarm, but it's something that goes off if you happen to fall over. Pacemakers, security systems, defibrillators, cars, you name it. And of course the very important being able to dial the emergency 000. Anyway, hard to know when it all... I can't remember when I first heard about this closing down, but I think it was late last year. Vodafone explained that the shutdown of 3G would strengthen and improve the 4G and 5G networks. But, well, maybe we don't need 3. And if we've got 4 and 5G, are we going to have a 6G? News of the shutdown has obviously not reached everybody, which has led to mild panic. 3G has been the communication system that we've depended upon for years. Telstra and Optus are a bit uncertain as to how many people it will affect. That's the closing down. But they put the number of devices at around 3 million. Most of which have been around 5-6 years. They include FPOS machines, 200,000 medical devices, as I said a moment ago, security systems. If you're caught up in this, you are running out of time. It's this week. You'd better call your provider. I might remind you again tomorrow. Lots of kids sitting exams, many for university entrance. Good luck with all of that. I'm so glad it's you, not me. I was never any good at exams. Pete, were you any good at exams?
Yeah, look,
But you were good at maths, weren't you?
maths was my top subject.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine what I was good at.
Well, that's a long time ago.
It's a long... Yeah, well, with me it's a long time ago as well. But there you go. I do remember it as being a terribly anxious time. But as I say, good luck. Try not to agonize over it. The huge Santa Claus, I really mean huge Santa Claus here in Adelaide, a focal point for every Christmas for more years than I can remember in our city. It was saved from the scrap heap by Cozzy. You know, Cozzy from South Aussie. A guest, in fact. He was a guest on the Friday show a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, yeah. A radio and TV star here in South Australia. Quite an original character, Cozzy from South Aussie. And the reason I mention it is that when you see this huge Santa Claus going up, you know it's almost Christmas. What did you say he bought it for?
$2.
He bought that huge Santa Claus for $2.
Yeah.
Saved it from the scrap heap. Oh, well, bless you, Cozzy. That was good. Did I ever tell you I once bought a radio station for $1?
No, $1. Well, now you need to do that again.
Well, yes, I can think of one. It might be quite worth $1, but who knows? For 30, let's see. For 30 of the last 35 years, Labor has ruled Queensland. It's a long time to drive with your foot on the brake. 30 years. The Conservatives in power only twice in the last 30 years. That's extraordinary. The issues that moved the political pendulum this time seem to be crime, law and order in other words, cost of living, yep, housing, hospital ramping, the abortion rights issue, which I can't believe was all that influential, really. Abortion, I mean. Women must have control of their bodies. That was the catch cry, which I take to mean, or should mean, access to contraception. Because that's the most sensible point at which to control fertility, I would have thought. But as I've said many times when the subjects come up on this program, and in the news generally, abortion is a matter for a woman and her doctor. The bottom line is that Labor lost the Queensland election. I think they saw it coming. The background of the outgoing Labor Premier, to me, says it all. I looked it up. Flashing smile, lots of confidence. But I looked up his background. He did a PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, on the trade union movement. I mean, you can do a PhD in almost anything, or sometimes almost nothing. But that was his doctorate. He did that at Queensland University. Before Parliament, he was a union official, and then he was a political advisor. In other words, he's never had a real job. Labor has no idea, which is why they constantly stuff things up. They mean well. God, they mean well. I know that. But it doesn't make the outcome any better. With Queensland, there would have been different issues affecting and influencing different people and the way they vote. But I think the woke nature of today's Labor Party, state and federal, is pretty much on the nose. You know, the welcome to country, acknowledgement of country. The difference between the two, I don't know. First Nations nonsense of every description, smoking ceremonies, stuff that has been confected and contrived or just plain made up. The implications for federal Labor, I don't know. But if Queensland is any indicator, they will struggle, and particularly in regional Australia. We'll know in 5 months, anyway. Or maybe sooner. But to me, the big national issue is going to be the cost of living and the part played by Labor's renewable energy policy. Great pain inflicted on every man, woman and Australian child when our emissions are of no consequence. Pain and suffering to achieve nothing. And a media that lets them get away with it. They show constantly their left-wing ideology is more important than the people. It reminds me of The Voice. Even when they knew the referendum was lost, they blindly went on with it. No, total denial. It's only $500 million of taxpayers' money. But seriously, what a disgrace. I don't think I'll ever forget that. And oh yes, immigration is an issue, isn't it, Pete?
Oh yes, very much so, for me anyway.
Yep. CHOGM, you know, the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Samoa in the South Pacific. Terrific. Nothing like a good talk fest. I can't really see the point. But what I did see was an almighty attempt at shaking down the people and the government of Australia. global warming, and an existential threat to us, the beautiful people of the South Pacific. Were they blaming China, India, or Europe for their emissions? Have they sent these massive polluting nations a bill? No. No. What they demand is that Australia, Canada, and Great Britain cancel, close down all our fossil fuel industries. What absolute, unmitigated rubbish. Why would we even entertain such nonsense? They want us to be a third world country. Well, sadly, we have a government who wants the same, I think. And where is the media to question these people, nice, naive South Pacific people, who I really believe are just being manipulated by the left? I've got no idea what King Charles made of any of it. The woke, the endless Aboriginal flags, the mindless mumbo-jumbo. Probably too much of a gentleman to say anything, I guess. We can't say the same of Senator Lydia Thorpe, can we? Stands up in the Great Hall, screaming profanities. We want treaty. Listen, lady, where's the war? You have a treaty when you have a war. Where's the war? I suspect it's in your head. You're a rude, nasty woman, as I said on the Friday show. What we should keep in mind before we entertain even the thought of reparations for the islanders is this. We have, for generations, been trying to buy off or buy the affection or the goodwill of Aboriginal people in Australia. The more you give, the less happy people seem to be. It would be exactly the same with the South Pacific. Papua New Guinea is another example of making people independent only to make them more dependent. I don't understand it, but I think it's time we had a good, long, hard, honest look at it. And before I leave the subject of Lydia Thorpe once and for all, she's got a long history of disrespecting Australia. She and her staff are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to represent the people of Victoria in the Senate. I don't think she does that. To me, she perhaps represents and speaks for a handful of disgruntled Aboriginals. Well, okay, let them pay for her. They won't, of course, because most know that she does not advance their cause in any way. And quite frankly, if she doesn't respect our traditions, why in hell would we respect or acknowledge hers? The Age newspaper, which was really for generations, like many newspapers and, let's be honest, media outlets in this country, for a long time, a revered and respected journal, The Age. The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald and the Adelaide Advertiser, they weren't just given a particular place in society, they earned it over generations. Well, last week, The Age wrote an editorial. They don't write a lot of editorials these days. They seem to keep it for occasion. Anyway, the editorial was calling on His Majesty King Charles to apologise to Aboriginal people for European settlement. What a load of horse feathers. That a major Australian newspaper could publish such rubbish. The 2024 What Kids Are Reading report came out yesterday. It's interesting. Shows an alarming decline in children's reading and comprehension. They point the finger at the ubiquitous devices that seem to control the lives and command the attention of these young people. And the other problem they point to is the lack of a new bestseller. What we've got is 15-year-olds reading things like Diary of a Wimpy Kid and not really being competent at reading even that, which was written for 7-year-olds. That teenage cohort needs another hit. Harry Potter. Where is the next Harry Potter? Sadly, nothing, and not even a book on the horizon, similar to the successful Harry Potter series. Now, I must tell you, I'll tell you about Elder Fine Art. He's wrapping up, in fact, last night and today, one of his online auctions, and I'll tell you about that tomorrow. I wanted to remind you, if you're looking around for a venue, one of our other sponsors is the Rising Sun Inn. This is this beautiful pub inn on Bridge Street at Kensington, number 60. Now, if you have a talk to Grant, if you're looking for a venue for a Christmas party, or for any function for that matter, you've got to get in early. You've got to start thinking about locking up a venue now. And I would suggest to you that you couldn't find a better venue than the Rising Sun Inn. All you've got to do is have a talk to Grant. He'll tell you of the facilities. You tell him what you need, what your budget for the Christmas party or the function, end of year function might be, and he'll do the rest. It's a great pub. In fact, named the best inn or pub in South Australia for, well, it's 12 months. It's last year, going through into this year. So it's quite current, that award. The Rising Sun Inn. You will love it. Happy birthday if you're having a birthday. Happy wedding anniversary. Some of the things for which we remember the day. Oh, golly, look at that. 29th. When's Halloween, Pete?
I don't know.
Must be around sometime now, because I see all these houses around here with ghouls and ghosts and
It's an American,
goblins.
American tradition as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they're making it up, I think, aren't they? Confecting it. Oh, look at that. Dear, oh dear. 1929 on this day, the stock market crash on Wall Street, known as Black Tuesday, triggers the Great Depression. This was the day. 1929 was the year. 1945, the first ballpoint pen goes on sale. Now, that is interesting. Manufactured by Reynolds in the US, and Laszlo Biro, had the European patents, and ultimately I think it was Baron Bick in France who bought the patents from Laszlo Biro. But from 1945, handwriting started to go downhill. You know, seriously. That's why a fountain pen is a lovely thing to give a kid, because as he grows up and he learns how to it doesn't have to be copperplate, you know, but there's nothing nicer, and I don't have a particularly good hand when it comes to handwriting. I know people who do, and you could give no one a better gift or sense of direction than a fountain pen. 2020, the South Australian government axes the Adelaide 500 from 2021. That was because of COVID, really, 2020. It's back now. Louis B. Mayer, American film producer and creator of the star system, MGM, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, dies at 71. The year was 1957. This was the day. The first trial of witchcraft in Paris, 1390. Whew. 1692, a special court convened in Salem, Massachusetts, puts various people on trial for being, well, what did they do with them? I think they burned them at the stake, didn't they?
Yeah, I think in France they did.
Oh, crazy stuff. Richard Dreyfuss, American actor, Jaws, Nuts, Mr. Holland's Opus. Never heard of that. He was born in Brooklyn. I think the thing that he was, I think, most famous for was Close Encounters. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Anyway, he was born on this day in 1947. Publishing company Penguin and Random House merged to form the world's largest publisher in 2012. Francis Hodgson Burnett, the British-American playwright and children's author, The Secret Garden, Little Lord Fauntleroy, dies at 74 on this day in 1924. English adventurer and writer and courtier, Walter Raleigh. Sir Walter Raleigh is beheaded, allegedly, for conspiring against King James I of England. Wasn't he the guy who took his cape off and threw it in the...
Put over the mud for the Queen.
For the Queen to walk on. And she immediately turned around and knighted him. Yeah. Good-o! Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Robert Hardy, the British actor, Harry Potter, All Creatures Great and Small, born in Gloucestershire. He died in 2017, but he was born 1925. China announces the end of its one-child policy after 35 years. That was this day in 2015. The International Committee of Red Cross is formed in Geneva, 1863 on this day. Winona Ryder, American actress. Edward Scissorhands. Heathers. Oh, she was born in Winona, Minnesota. So that's why she's called Winona Ryder. Asterix, first published in the French magazine called Pilot by René. 1959 was the year. Frank Sedgman, and he's still alive, ladies and gentlemen. Australian tennis player, 5 Grand Slam singles titles, doubles Grand Slam title 51, born in Melbourne, Victoria, 1927. That would make him 95.
Yeah.
He's 1920, no, 27. He's almost 100.
Yeah.
Almost 100. Car maker John DeLorean, indicted for drug trafficking, later acquitted, 1982. And, one more. 1998 on this day, the Space Shuttle Discovery blasts off on STS-95 with 77-year-old John Glenn on board, making him the oldest person to go into space. You see, it's never too late. Pete?
No.
I love it, I love it, I love it. Thank you very much for being with us. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow here in the garage, in the Court of Public Opinion. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton and I thank you most sincerely for watching, and I hope enjoying, the Court of Public Opinion. Believe in yourself.